It's that time.
Welcome
What
back,
time is it?
friends. It's review time. The Troop. We've done it. Finished Troop by
Yeah,
Nick
we did
Cutter.
it. I have a lot of feelings about this book, and I've been holding them all in. I've been. It's like Dark Matter when it was. It's not like Dark Matter. Slightly like Dark Matter, where I was like, I have so much I want to talk about, but I need to wait to talk about this until we get into our video, so I'm not wasting any of the content.
It's been hard because we've been reading these so quick and our time to film is so small, so we have to wait, 4 days or whatever to film, and then it's like I need to get it out.
It needs to come out. Yeah.
The worm needs to come out.
But speaking of worms, let's talk about the Troop.
Let's talk about the Troop. Spoilers, obviously, if you haven't read. This is not a spoiler-free review. If you want a spoiler-free review, check out our TikTok.
That's true. So,
But if you're here for spoilers, well,
let's do it. Let's brace it. Let's brace yourself to be spoiled. Let's spoil you.
let's do it. Let's spoil you by telling you all about the characters.
Yeah. Should we just jump right in?
Let's do it.
Or do you want? All right. Well, character development. Where do you think? Where do you lie? Where do you stand?
I felt good about it. I gave it a point. I thought each character, I felt like the kids were all stereotypical high school templates, I guess. Like you had the jock, you had a bully, you had the nerd, you had the social outcast kind of guy.
Yeah.
But it was unique because as they went through different, we got to see some backstory as to why they might be like this, which always involved their parents. Every single one had a parent that oh, my mom was like this, so that's the way I am. It's like, okay.
Yeah, definitely looked at the nature versus nurture aspect of those character tropes, right? That was interesting. I really enjoyed the off-screen character development. I thought it was done really well. The the flashbacks and the diary entries for the kid. It was good off-screen development. It's a nice little way to round them out and make them more well.
And I like when books do that. It's like not everything has to happen in front of my face. Like take a chapter, show me what happened in the past, and now I understand more about why they're acting this way. I'm cool with that. I like that. So yeah, I felt good about that. I felt even I don't know. I felt like Tim kind of he was there and he had he went through a lot mentally,
Yeah,
but
he was the most poorly developed.
he kind of got too early to be developed. I think he
Yeah,
understood what was happening and realized oh, I'm trying to do a good thing, but also I think I really messed up. Why am I involving children in a really sick stranger child on an abandoned island?
yeah. There's definitely a how it should have ended, and Tim immediately kicks the dude back into the ocean, and the kids hunker down and all live until they get rescued.
Yeah, but then the book would have only been 30 pages, and what fun is that?
You're right. You're right.
Characters have to make stupid decisions to make a plot happen.
You're right. There's no development. There's no dumb decisions.
Exactly. It's like Star-Lord in the Avengers movie where he just they could have just taken the glove off Thanos. He's like, you made me upset, so I'm gonna punch you. And it just now we have everybody's dead. It's your fault.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Was it though?
Well, that YouTube channel was specifically exactly what I was thinking of when I said there needs to be a how it should have ended, and he just kicks the guy back into the water, and suddenly the book ends. The end. The kids all live. Spoiler alert: some of the children die.
At least one. Anyway, yeah. So characters, they were fun. I had fun doing it with them.
Yeah,
Cool.
me too. Originality, creativity.
Give it a point. Easy point. I think. I mean, you have a Boy Scouts troop that go on a weekend adventure that they do once a year with their scoutmaster. It just happens to be on a where are they off of? Was it Maine?
I think so. It was some New England area. They were on a island that was 3 miles off the coast of a coastal town.
Yeah, I don't actually know if we know specifically or we do, and I just don't remember. But we're
Same.
3 miles off or so of the coast, and they just are chilling on an island, and stuff goes wrong, which was fun. I mean,
It makes the whole book.
it was
Stuff goes
original.
wrong.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was original. I feel like the final product was unique, but I feel like it blended a lot of, and I guess all media does this, right? But I blended a lot of elements from Lord of the Flies and
Big Lord of the Flies, yeah.
Yeah, lots of parallels to Lord of the Flies.
But
So
I felt like the hard part is because you're trying to write a story, right? Everything's been written. People are like, oh no, there's unique stories to tell. There's not. You're just taking everything is centered around a
It's true.
theme and you're building off that theme. A lot of things are going to be similar because the world is however old it is and stories have been told since however long they've been told. So I think that you're going to have a lot of similarities, but it's what you do with those themes and I guess how it ends, which makes it for me because you're going to start in a lot of the same places, but it's where we branch out.
Yeah, how it started versus how it ended. The end, the wrap up.
I felt okay about it. I I felt like it was kind of predictable in a way, but I thought the story end itself I enjoyed. I think in the end it was like the end of Inception when they spin the top. It's a little ambiguous. Like, was he infected it or was he not infected?
Yeah, it's definitely like a journey and not the end. Like the end was not like the main point of the book. It was the whole like the whole moral themes that are presented in the journey, like during the book. So when it got to the end, it was kind of predictable, but I don't know where else you would go with this book. Him returning to the island at the end, I definitely foresaw. I was like, I wonder if he's going to go back because it's anything that's like someone in seclusion that escapes is like, I need to go back. Like with the sight of my trauma draws me back in.
Yeah. So did you give it a full point for that then?
Yeah, I was leaning towards giving it a half point, but I don't know what I would want from it to make it a full point if I gave it a half point, right? So like I said, the ending was predictable, but I don't know that it could have gone any differently and still been like a well-rounded story based on the way it was written. So I don't think it was like anything was wrong with the ending. It was just the kind of that was the kind of story it was.
Yeah, and that's okay. I feel like not everything, and I think that's the problem with kids nowadays. But the problem with what a lot of people are looking for, especially like using like Avengers and those kind of like those type of superhero movies again. Everyone's looking for the next like huge. Everyone has to go over the top, over the top. Not everything has to be like
Yeah.
that.
Nope, yeah, it's true. Nobody's okay with average anymore.
Yeah, that's my rant. Short rant, but that's it.
You did it.
World building and setting.
I mean, it's another one where it was an easy win. Didn't have to do world building. He didn't have to do like much setting. He did a good job describing the island and describing the like plant life and the scenery and really like setting the scene for the kids. So easy point there. But again, it's like we talked about with Girl with All the Gifts. Like when you get to lean on an existing world, it's it's a lot easier than it is when you're developing a whole universe of different planets with different magic systems.
Yeah. So I almost gave this one a half a point because this one was, I mean, you're just on an island in a forest. Like, we could get some more stuff, I feel like, or I don't know. I mean, that's the story. So, like, that's all we need type thing. But I gave it the full point because we did get those newspapers. So we got to see what was happening on the outside
That's
at the
true.
same time. So I was like, all
Yeah.
right, then we got more of a, instead of just like a pinpoint, we did get, some of the surrounding area of it too. So I ended up giving it a full point there as well.
Yeah. I have feelings about this book, but I'll let them come out in our review, and if they don't, then I'll rant at the end.
Okay.
And that's it. That's your preview. That's all
Wow.
you get.
Okay. Pacing and structure. I felt okay about this. I didn't feel it was slowed down, I guess, or anything at all. I think the only issue I had with it was I felt like we hopped POVs at random times and I was
Oh yeah, that
confused. I was
was
like, I actually don't know who I'm reading right now. So I read back a little bit and I'm like, okay, now I get it. So I think for that, it was just a little bit choppy. So I'd probably give it a half a point there. But I felt the pacing was okay for me.
I gave it a half point as well here.
Yes.
It felt slow to me, and I liked the newspaper articles and the like flashbacks. Those helped break it up. There's a lot of the time on the island I was just like, what are we doing? But like, what's going on? Like, what's next? What is happening to these kids? Like, is this just going to be they're on the island, they die, some live, or are we going to see like I was like waiting for more things to happen?
It's fair. I think because it was such a short time frame, because it's only like what 3-4 days or something the book takes
Yeah,
place over, that I think we get to see like the slow deterioration of like their mental status on top of like they're literally dropping like flies, like one at a time type thing. So we get to kind of
flies, you say?
lord of them. So I think that I don't know. I felt like they did an okay job. I didn't think it was. I mean, personally, I thought the pacing was fine. I
Okay,
disagree with you.
that's fine, but we still each gave it a half point here. So do you really disagree with me?
Yes. I live my life
But
to disagree.
I agree with the structure comment as well. The POV shifted a bit erratically sometimes. It could have even just used like headers of like who was talking, or like the first sentence could have been like, and then Newt was thinking.
Yeah, sometimes there would be like a paragraph shift, like there'd be like a block in between, but sometimes it just kind of bleed together.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we can disagree on the pacing, but I thought that was part of what I had feelings about, right? I was like, I feel like for me this book is slow, but is that just because that's the style of book this is? Like the books are specifically focused on looking at these kids and their descent into moral madness, the decomposition of their mental state. That was like the specific focus of the book. I just was like, at some points I was like, we're just looking at kids who are mentally decomposing. Am I interested in this? But that's more of a personal.
I was gonna say, is
Pers-
that would be? I feel like that's not necessarily a structured thing. It's just that's an interest thing or a pacing thing. I mean, but
Hmm?
if you're not
Yeah,
interested, the pacing always feels off, which
yeah,
is
and I
hard.
mean, it's tough. Like, is it their job to interest me specifically? No, not all books are going to interest all people.
It's true. If we
Anyways,
like
have
something, you might not, and vice versa.
emotional impact. That was there. That was good. At the really unfortunate, the kid who started out as like the least interesting kid became my favorite kid and then died, and I was sad.
You know, they did kind of like. I was thinking he was gonna make it at the end, and he was gonna be the only one because we got a newspaper clip, and it's like only one person survived off the island, and we still have, like
I
four
was
people
like,
left alive. I'm like, wait a
damn
minute,
it,
write that down.
they're all gonna die.
I knew all of them had to die. You know, at least one had to live because like the story got out. But
Yeah,
I,
it
yeah.
was very much like you understand early on. Multiple of these kids will not be getting off this island.
So I'm gonna give it a half a point to it.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
I cared about Newt. That's it. I feel like
Hmm.
the other characters, like I understood like what he was trying to do with them, and I understood that there was
Hmm.
points where like they like they had things going wrong and things were happening to them, and like I just didn't feel like, I mean, I was reading it, but I don't know if I necessarily like cared that they died or cared that this happened to them. I don't know. I just, so for me the emotional impact, it was like I felt like I was reading Newt's story, and when it wasn't Newt I was like, well, tough, tough, tough luck. I did care that Tim
Hmm.
died. I figured he would die right away, but the only adult on the island, but I was like, dang, I like Tim. But yeah, so that's a half point for me. So I think that was just a personal thing as well, though. Like I think it was there, it just didn't strike home for me.
Yeah, what more would you need with? Because we said it had good character development. So what did you need to make you have more of them? Because like from my perspective, I think that this had emotional impact more than just like sadness. So like I was sad when Newt died, but I was like disgusted at the one kid who was like psychopath. I forget his name. But like
Shelley?
that was, yeah. So that was like emotional impact too, because it was like, hey, you're messed up. You were not you're not all there. So like I had different emotional impacts based on the trope that each kid had. So like Newt was the one who I was more like softer towards.
Yeah.
And then like Kent, I was like, damn, you're a little shit and someone needs to spank you. Like I think that's still like emotional impact, right?
Yeah.
For me at least. So what more would you have needed to make it a full point?
I don't know if it was something that needed to be more. I think it was a personal thing because once there was like in my brain, I like picked on the fact that all of these people are going to fit into a trope. Like I just figured that this is how they were going to act and follow. So it didn't really mean anything because it felt like Kent felt forced to me. Like he had development and like things changed,
Yeah.
but a lot of the things just felt forced in that
Forcing
respect.
them into that trope.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I could see that.
so. Which I mean, again, it's just think it's something I picked out on. I don't necessarily think it was bad. I just don't think it was for me, so I just give it a half.
Okay. Fair enough. Writing style and prose.
I think this is. I think this is another half a point. I don't
Interesting.
know. How did you feel about it?
I want to know why you want to give it a half point before I say it.
I want to give it a half a point because like the writing style was fine. I was okay with it, I guess. I mean, we had like those breaks in POV, which bothered me. So I think that's kind of where it gets, half a point. But I feel like we lose that, fluidity there, I guess. But I felt like the way it was written kind of fit the like horror, I guess this would be considered horror type. I felt like it was written well for that.
Yeah.
But that's why I give it a
Yeah.
half.
I gave it half point as well. I mean, it wasn't like there weren't like grammatical issues. The shifting POVs was big. That was like a bit erratic. I don't know. It's tough because I'm trying to be objective because I honestly don't think that this book was for me. I don't think this was one of like I wouldn't recommend this to me. I'd recommend it as a book. Like I think like people who like horror and thrillers, like we'll get to that when we get to that. But I don't think if like I could be if I was telling, hey, go read this book, I'd probably tell me, hey, you won't like this book.
It's hard because we're genre hopping, right? We're doing different things
Yeah.
and it's fun. And it's not like I didn't like the book, but I wouldn't, like you said, I don't know if I would, if it were, I was talking to my past self, I'm gonna be like, whoa, this is gonna be for you.
Yeah. Which is always really interesting. And it's hard sometimes for me to reconcile the opinions of book talk because people are like, this is incredible. And I'm like, this is disturbed Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a problem with the whole like super recommendations on TikTok. I mean, it's hard because
Yeah.
I do it all the time with Red Rising. Like, this is fantastic, and you just glaze the one series, but it's my favorite series, so I'm like, that's my thing. But you can't
You
every
can't recommend
book,
every book as a 10 out of 10 amazing. This is the best.
and especially when it's only the popular TikTok books, like the First Law trilogy. If you don't read this book immediately, you're gonna burst into flames. Like
Yeah.
it was good. It was
It
good,
was.
but it wasn't. It wasn't a 10
It
out of
wasn't
10.
10 out of 10. It wasn't like, this is the best grimdark book I've ever read.
Yeah, and actually all the examples that we give, I think that's the one that we're the most controversial on in terms of
Yeah.
opinions on reviews.
Which is funny that we agree on it so much. That the two of us see perfectly eye to eye on it.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, half a
Back
point.
to the I gave it half point as well.
Engaging storyline. I need to know what you think here because I feel like you're gonna give it a 0.
No, okay. That's the other thing about like our style, right? Like I think even books, the way that we rate books, I'm inherently giving them like a 5 or better, 5 out of 10 or better. So a 2.5 or better, 2.5 out of 5 stars or better. Unless I think it's like a bad book, like how you felt about like Atlas 6. You were like, this is not a great book. This is like very poorly written. I don't
If
like
you
this.
haven't seen me talk about it before, it's a terrible book and a series. Do not go read it. Anyway,
So unless I feel that way, it's at least getting a 5 out of 10 or higher. Because like I recognize that like people like this book and this book was written in a way that is not written poorly. It just wasn't for me. So I gave it a half point on engaging storyline, not a 0, for the same issues that I had with pacing. Like I wasn't engaged. I wasn't interested. But like this kind of book does it for different people. And there are other people who are like, I like this, but for me it wasn't a bad book. This was like I did a whole like philosophical rant video about like why do you read and like what draws you into books. This is not like the kind of book that I would be like, this is why I read. I read for this book. I think probably the opposite. Like this is the kind of book that I think you would read. To me, the way it's written is like something you should read in high school and college to examine like moral themes, to examine like mental like
yeah,
how your mental state decays in times of trauma, how children handle like dealing with extreme trauma and how they treat each other. It's great for all that. But I'm not reading this from like an academic lens. And so all that is like, it's not engaging to me. Like it's not in this.
this book
Go
felt
ahead.
like a vacation read. Like, I'm reading this, I'm up north or something like that. We're just hanging out like on the deck or like in the house, or and I'm just like reading it because I want to read and be outside and hang out and relax type thing. But I'm not reading it for like, I'm not invested in this. I'm not like, oh, the stove's burning because I'm stuck like in the book. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's an okay vacation read. And like you said, it wasn't bad. It just, I don't know. I feel like I still gave it a 1 for engaging storyline. I feel like I wanted to see it through, and I feel like it was done well. I just don't know if, like we said before, like if it was the book for me, but the story itself was engaging.
Yeah. Yeah. I gave it a half point, and that's just my perspective. But I won't, like I said, I won't give it a 0. The storyline was like, I wanted to finish the book. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I want to DNF this. Don't make me read this.
Like for the
It wasn't,
throne. We should almost. I
Yes.
feel like we should almost go back and redo a review on that because the more I
Yeah,
think
because it
about
was
it, the more I dislike it. I almost want to give it an extra half a point for lasting impact because of how annoyed I am every time I think about it.
it should get a negative point for lasting
Should
impact.
get. Can we start doing that? I'm gonna start giving out negative points when
There we go.
appropriate.
I agree we should do it. Yeah, I think For the Throne was only our like second or third review. So did we do For the Wolf and For the Throne first? Were those our first two reviews? Or did we do Taylor Small for I think we did I think it was For the Wolf and For the Throne. I think that was our first
It might have been.
RSQ reviews. In which case, yeah, like now that we know more how we're rating things, I don't think it deserves to be as high on the scale as it is. I probably should have given it some zeros because I was like,
Hard part is
it's,
we're trying to be nice, but we need to be objective. There are no feelings here.
we don't
Zero.
have feelings, which
Unless
is
it's
hard
emotional impact.
because we're humans. And like I said, I have feelings about this book, and it's caused internal strife because I don't think this is a bad book, and I don't want to rate it poorly because I didn't like it. Because not every book can be written for me, but I'm not always objective. I'm human, and to me, the storyline didn't grab me,
That's okay.
and that's fine. Which brings us to the themes.
I would give it a 1. I mean, I think like you kind of hit the nail on the head when you talked about it's a very good book to analyze like the nature versus nurture themes in like an academic setting, like high school. I wouldn't even say college. I'd say high school.
Yeah, junior, sophomore class.
Yeah, something like you're in a lit class or something. But I felt like it did a good job of that because you kind of see even this book. I feel like was heavy on the nurture side. A lot of the past like throwbacks or whatever you want to call them, flashbacks, had to do with like their family and specific instances with their parents. And especially Kent was like, you know what, my dad thinks like this, so I'm gonna think like this. And for the most part, they stayed that way until they died. Like they kept thinking about it and they would change a little bit, like their morals kind of dropped, but they would still have this is the way that I think, so I'm gonna keep on this route.
Yeah, there are tons of themes here, and I think that's where this book is strongest. It does a great job at looking at lots of different themes, and I think you could in a lit class examine different themes that this book has. I mean, there's like the themes of like small towns never changing and being the same, right? Like
Yep.
all these parents raising their kids to be exactly them, and their kids they act like them, they judge and prejudice like them, and it's just like a perpetual cycle, right? Like Kent would probably do something like law enforcement. It was very clear early on that he thinks this way because his dad thinks this way, and he's going to be the big macho man, and he's going to be the leader.
Yep.
So
And even Tim, he was an outsider. He came from I don't remember where, and then moved to
it
this
can't.
town.
Yeah,
And everyone was like, "All right, he's a doctor and stuff, but he's not one of us. Like,
yeah,
we'll go to him when we need him, and you're okay, but like, you're not getting invited."
yeah. They're very in your face themes, which is I don't know. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No,
They weren't like you didn't have to look hard to find them. The themes were like, this is a theme that I'm writing about. Look at it. And it's like, oh, I see it. It's there.
like subtle themes, but I don't want to have to like pick apart every paragraph to find some sort of hidden. Like, it's fun, but okay. Like, I don't want to sit there and be like, "Oh, you didn't find my theme about you know the butterfly effect because of something I wrote in, this one," like that. But I also don't like necessarily like, this is my theme and you will know about it every 4 pages because I will bring it up. I forgot what we read recently where it just kept throwing the same thing at us. Like, I get it. Like, it's gonna bother me. I'll come back to it. But I felt like this book, even though we knew the themes, it wasn't in your face themes. I felt it.
Yeah. Yeah. That, like I said, I think that was where this book shone the strongest
Yeah.
was its themes.
I'd agree with you there.
All right. Rereadability and lasting impact. I have a spicy take.
0 for me.
I'm giving it a 0. Is this the first time I've given something a 0? I don't
I
know,
don't think
but
so.
I don't think so either. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Enjoyed it while I was in it, but like I said, it's a vacation book. Colleen Hoover that everybody reads. You're not picking one of those up ever again. You were on vacation, you had a drink or two, you read a book, and it's gone. It's deleted from your brain. I don't know if this will be deleted from my brain per se, because I did enjoy it, but it's just gonna be on the shelf. I'm gonna pass by it and not even glance at it. Which sounds
yeah.
worse than I'm meaning to be. It just was. It was okay.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me that people are like, this book's incredible. And it's just, maybe it's just the society that we live in, and people want to like overhype things because
They're trying to hook you into a video. You're gonna love the fourth book on this list. Stick around for it. But all of them are 10 out of 10s, and it's like the most popular series ever. But I don't know. It's like when someone recommends a book that they wrote, and they're like, "This is Avatar: The Last Airbender mixed with Fourth Wing, mixed with Hunger Games, and you're gonna love every second of it."
and then when it's not like Avatar, you're like, that wasn't like Avatar. I was expecting Avatar.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
important to hype a book, but not put it on a pedestal so high that a very small breeze is gonna knock it over. Because that happens a lot, and I think that kind of happened.
I agree. Yeah, that's, I mean, this book really drove me to want to know like what do people like about this book? Like what draws them in?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like trash the book or anything like that because I didn't. I thought it was engaging and I liked it, and I don't think this has turned me away from the horror genre or anything like that. But
No, I
I
agree.
don't think it also invited me in. I just think I was here. I came. I saw. I conquered. I am gonna Irish exit, and that's just gonna be what it is. And I think that's fine. I don't want every book to blow my socks off because sometimes I need to wear socks. You feel?
It's his name is Dumb Guy Reads. That's actually his channel. It's Dumb Guy Reads. That's his name. Anyways, he really liked it, and so I want to know from like others, you, the audience, anybody who wants to talk about it, why do you like this? Because like as a horror, I wasn't like scared. I wasn't like, wow, the horror here is really good. I was like,
But are you just desensitized at the same point too?
maybe, but I don't read like a lot of horror. I don't consume a lot of horror material.
Fair.
So I wouldn't think that like coming into a horror genre, a horror book, I would be immediately like, I'm not scared. Like obviously I wasn't expecting to be like, I need to read this with the lights on. But like I feel like to me it wasn't like it was definitely a thriller. It was suspenseful, but I didn't see it as like a book that like did it for me on the horror level. And so the like what this book gets is it's like a thrilling horror, a thrilling disturbing horror. And so for me I was like it was just kind of disturbing. I didn't get like it didn't really do it for me on multiple different levels, you know?
Yeah, I feel that because Haley's listening to it right now on Audible, and she's enjoying it. Because she talked to me the other day, she goes, "Oh, I'm interested to see what you guys' review is because I don't think you guys are gonna like it as much as I am." Because she'll text me like, "Oh my gosh, this part's so gross," blah blah, and I'm like, "Am I just a weirdo? Do I?"
Yeah, I will say if the audiobook's done really well, that could enhance
For
the
sure.
like horror. Like if there's like squelching
That was
when
the
it's
first
like
word that popped into my head was squelching. Oh my god. The subtitles in Stranger Things, the most recent season or whatever, when that came out, had like every sound had a caption. It was
like a
like squelching
squelching.
and just different like things like that. I was looking at the screen like, don't tell me these things. This is so strange. But yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being a better audiobook if the reader is like more like suspenseful and thrilling and draws you in and scares you. Like I could see that being
Audiobooks I feel like are more immersive. Or they can be. I get distracted way too easily in audiobooks. It's taking me
me too.
like forever to finish the 2 hours. And I'm enjoying it,
Yeah.
but after 10 minutes of driving, I'm like, well, I'm thinking about other things. So I was like, oh wait, I forgot I was listening to something.
But yeah. I get lost in my head and I'm like, I'm supposed to be listening to this book.
Yeah, right.
But anyways, what do you think? Are we recommending this?
I don't know. Yeah, I could go either way. I would recommend it if you don't even know how I want to say this.
So I think
I know what that alarm was for. It's a different one.
that I'm gonna not recommend it. I think we could easily give this a conditional recommendation. Like if this is like there are people who like this kind of like if you're into horror books or thriller books and you want something that's like if you're more used to books like this, then I think you could read it and enjoy it. But I'm primarily like a sci-fi fantasy recommender of books.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to recommend it because like the people that I'm generally recommending books to are looking to escape reality to a different world that does like amazing things, like has a character that overcomes adversity and grows or gets power or like you see like cool worlds or sprawling landscapes. So, recognizing that this is not necessarily a book that is written for me, this book has none of that. And that is why I pondered so much like, well, why is this like a book that draws people in? Because like that's what I go to reading for. And this doesn't have any of that. So I'm not recommending it.
I think I'd have to agree but my stipulation, I'm gonna say no, but I feel like it's a good YA horror. This is like the genre I would
Yeah.
put it in. So if you're like, I don't know, high school or like very new to reading and want to read horror but don't want to read Stephen King and you're looking for something like that, or you're looking for a quick vacation read, like I said, I think this is gonna be the book for you. But from my perspective, from like the types of books that I like to read and you've seen us read, I don't know if I can recommend it on that scale. Enjoyable, but forgettable.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how I feel about like Pet Cemetery when we get there because it's on our wheel.
Yeah. That's another one that's a high school book. People
Is
read
it?
that in
Dang,
high school. I never did. I wasn't,
I never did.
yeah, but people read that in high school as like in like their lit classes and stuff, but I never did. But I've heard it's good.
I mean, yeah, I hear great things about Stephen King, so it'll be interesting. That's why I'm interested. I'm interested to see how I feel about that book and like what that does differently from like a thriller, horror, suspense perspective than this book. And maybe it'll be I also find out that book's not for me, in which case it'll really be like, well, this is a me issue. It's fine. People recognize that Stephen King's a good writer. I recognize that it's not for me, but I don't know. We'll see when we get there.
I've been noticing on a quick side rant on like TikTok and different forms of media is people are like not annoyed at Stephen King, but they're like they don't like to see his like stuff about his content, like his
Hmm.
books and stuff, because they're like, there's so much more horror out there, and everybody just glazes Stephen King and blah blah. I'm like, well, he's good. So like, there's a reason that he's recommended, but they're like, there's too much of him out there. So like, check out this book instead, which is cool. I like that. If there, you need to branch out. You can have a favorite author, but read some other stuff. But I thought that was interesting that at least the last couple of days, I saw that people are more upset. Like, oh, why Steve? Like a whole horror section is all Stephen King. What about all these other authors? I was like,
Yeah, we gave it a 7.5. I think we gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Under 4 stars if you're looking at the regular
well, like a
5-star scale,
three
like a
seven five probably.
3.75. Yeah, we gave it 7.5 out of 10. I think we're not recommending it, but with the caveat of if you're looking for like a intro to horror YA thriller, this could do it for you. It's got themes are where it shines the strongest. Character development is good, but other than that, we both felt kind of meh about it.
Yeah, enjoyable but forgettable. Like I said, that's kind of how I feel about it.
There we go. Enjoyable but forgettable.
So on that note, we're reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy currently. I am being a bit slow on it this time around, so I feel like we might have a little bit more time between our reviews, but we'll be chugging along on that one. So it's been fun so far.
Yeah, check out our wheel spin video to see what we put on the wheel in place of the troop, and check out our other reviews. Other than that, thanks for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, RSQ out.
All right, we got our final scores, and we looked at how we felt about the troop versus what our scores were. And I went back and changed some of my scores because I was like, I didn't feel like this is a 7.5 book. Like I wasn't like 7.5 points out of 10. Wow, that's almost 4 stars on a 5-star scale. I recommend this. I was definitely like, this is kind of a meh book, and I didn't super enjoy it.
Yeah, so this is our addendum. We're gonna chuck this in somewhere at the end, in the middle, who knows? But what did you change? Where are your points that you dropped?
I dropped it down from a full point to half a point on originality and creativity because the
Okay.
more I looked at it, I didn't think it was super original. It was creative with like the worm, but it wasn't very original. So I took a half point from it there. I don't think this is like fully unique, fully fleshed out original story. And then I also dropped it down to half a point on world building or setting. And I think I've been too lenient on when someone doesn't have to build a world, saying, "Oh, easy point for them." I think that there can be points for building out a world, and even if you don't have to build a world, there should be a level of you've drawn me into the world that you are writing about that I don't think was there.
Yeah,
Right?
I think you could have a pre-existing place. I brought it down to a half a point in world building and setting too, because you could have a pre-existing place, but your setting and your world that we're in have to be rounded and fleshed out. Like the setting can be the date, the time, the place,
Yeah.
we're in your diner that you're writing about. It matters the diner. Like it's not just, oh, we're in Chicago,
Yeah,
whatever.
there was really only like basic descriptors about the settings in this, and it definitely could have been like a fall in March on in this small town. Like it could have really drawn us in to exactly what mattered about this setting, and I don't think that was there either.
Yeah. So I think that's where I lost half a point for me. So I think you're down to a 6.5 on your rating then. I think I'm still at a 7. I like the book a little bit more than you. I think, 3.5, 3.75, I'm still there. If you're going Goodreads, but I think for us, for RSQ, I'm at a 7.
So we averaged just above 6.5 to 7 between the two of us.
6.75?
6.75 is our RSQ average.
Yeah.
And felt we got off camera and we were like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's put it back in there. Let's edit it for the people.
Yeah, for the people. Because we felt, I don't know, I got done with the review, I was so excited, and in 2 seconds passed, we both look at each other, we're like, I actually don't feel as good as I did.
We rated that too high.
Too high. So we're going to try in our future reviews to be more critiquey, more,
Yeah.
really
Yeah, that was
dive into it for y'all to give you a accurate,
that was the big thing we talked about. Was
feels.
like, I don't think I should guarantee this having a point on world building when
Yeah.
he didn't have to build a world. I think I should really be critiquing like how was the world and the setting that we looked at fleshed out. So taking away some freebies and really gonna dive in and critique on writing.
Everybody loves a freebie, but not here on RSQ. No freebies. Actually, that's a lie. We love freebies, but not in the point department.
That's true. Give us free books.
We'll read them.
We will.
Write
And
them,
we'll
we'll read
talk
them.
about them.
We'll talk
You
about them.
know, rare opportunity. I'm going to rant about this for like a second and I'll clip all this and put it in.
Okay.
If you want to send us a book, we will buy another copy of the book so that we can both read it and review it. So if you send one of us a book, you'll guarantee that you get at least one book bought and then we'll read it and we'll do a review.
We I think we might do, I'm not sure when, maybe in the summertime, we'll maybe do an indie author month or something like that, where we just kind of read different indie authors, either we find on TikTok or Instagram or wherever we happen to find somebody, and kind of go through those because we want to show some love. So anyway, thanks
Other than that,
for being here. RSQ out.
RSQ out.